Lauren, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys.
All right, good. Hold on. All right, good morning, everyone. I hereby convene the October 13th, 2025 hearing of the Santa Barbara County Zoning Administrator. My name is Linda Liu, and I'll be the zoning administrator for today's hearing, and Mr. David Villalobos will be clerking. This hearing will be conducted under the provisions of the Ralph M. Brown Act, Open Meeting Law, as well as the provisions of California Planning Law and the Santa Barbara County Code. We have two items on today's agenda. The clerk will read each item into the record, and I will announce any ex parte communications. I will then get comments from the case planner, followed by the applicant or the applicant's agent, and then I will get comments from the public. Anyone who wishes to testify should submit a speaker slip, or if testifying remotely, should use the raise hand feature. And when testifying, please state your name and when it is your turn to speak. All right, the first portion of our agenda is for the general public comment. This period gives the public an opportunity to comment on matters that are not on today's agenda. Mr. Villalobos, do we have any requests to speak during this period?
Madam Zoning Administrator, Madam Liu. For those of us joining us online, if you'd like to speak at this portion of the hearing regarding items on today's agenda, go ahead and raise your virtual hand. And if you're joining us via phone, it's *9 to raise your hand. No hands raised.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Villalobos. We'll go ahead and close out that portion of the agenda, and we'll proceed with the standard agenda.
All right, our first item is case number 25COC2. The following is the hearing on the request of Armando Montes to consider case number 25COC2 and to determine the project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to section 15305 of the state guidelines for implementation of the California Environmental Quality Act.
Thank you very much, Mr. Villalobos. I do not have any ex parte communications to announce. However, there was a public comment letter on this item. Mr. Kringle, are you ready to proceed?
I am. Thanks, Ms. Liu. I'll just give a brief description of the project and the recommended actions. So the project before the zoning administrator is a request for a conditional certificate of compliance, case number 25COC2, to validate a 44-acre parcel located at the southwest corner of Parisa Road and Rucker Road in the Malmbo area. The parcel zone Ag 240 was determined by the county surveyor's office to have been created as a remainder of a subdivision by a governmental agency through a grant deed recorded in 1985. The conditional certificate of compliance is necessary to establish the lot's legality for purposes of sale, lease, or financing. So staff recommends approval of the project because it is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the land use and development code and the standards for the Ag 240 zone district. And the parcel will meet minimum lot size requirements and will continue to be used for agricultural purposes. And this action will not result in any change to land use or density. The project qualifies for a categorical exemption from CEQA guidelines under CEQA guidelines section 15305. And approval of the conditional certificate of compliance will bring the property into conformance with state and local subdivision regulations and allow the owner to proceed with future permitting activities. So if you concur with staff's findings, staff recommends that you make the required findings for the project as specified in attachment A of the staff report, including CEQA findings, determine the project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to state CEQA guidelines section 15305, and approve the project case number 25COC2, subject to the conditions of approval included as attachment B. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kringle. And I see Mr. Montes is online. Mr. Montes.
Good morning.
Good morning. Do you have anything to add to Mr. Kringle's presentation?
No, I do not. I just want to thank Mr. Kringle again for the presentation and for his support throughout the project. But I'm here for any other questions you may have.
And have you had an opportunity to review all the conditions of approval that are recommended for this project?
Yes.
All right, and I assume you have shared this with the owners?
Yes.
And they are in agreement? All right, thank you very much, Mr. Montes. I don't have any further questions for you. Mr. Villalobos, do we have any requests to speak on this?
Once again, if you'd like to speak on this item, go ahead and raise your virtual hand. And if you're joining us via telephone, it's *9 on your phone to raise your hand, and then *6 to unmute yourself. No hands raised.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Villalobos. Since there are no hand raised and no requests to speak on this seems like a relatively straightforward project, and I don't have any further questions for Mr. Montes or Mr. Kringle. Thank you very much, and I will go ahead and make the required findings for this project as specified in Attachment A of the staff report, including the CEQA findings. And I do determine that this project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to State Guidelines Section 15305. As specified in Attachment C of the staff report, and I approve this project, case numbers 25 COC 0002, subject to the conditions of approval included as Attachment B of the staff report. Thank you very much, Mr. Kringle. Mr. Montes?
Thank you, Ms. Liu.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Villalobos, maybe we need a few minutes for our next item. You ready? All right, next item, please.
I can just read slowly.
All right.
The following is a hearing on the request of Laura Putnam to consider the following. Case number 25 CUP 7, and to determine the project is exempt pursuant to sections 15301 and 15303 of the state guidelines for implementation of the California Environmental Quality Act.
Thank you very much, Mr. Villalobos. By way of ex parte communications, I did speak to Ms. Volpe on this project briefly by email, and we did receive one comment letter on this item. Ms. Volpe, are you ready to proceed?
I am, thank you.
All right, you're on.
All right, good morning, Ms. Liu. My name is Kathleen Volpe. I'll be the planner presenting the Putnam Veterinary Clinic project. The subject parcel is 1.65 acres. It's located at 4860 Calle Real in the Eastern Glida Valley Community Plan and is zone C2, and it's in the C2 zone district. Project is a request for a minor conditional use permit to allow the change of use from an existing commercial real estate structure to a veterinary pet clinic / hospital, and the associated interior remodeling and minor exterior changes that can occur with a change of use. Public comment on the project discussed concerns regarding hours of operations and potential noise impacts. To address concerns raised, the applicant expanded the project description to clarify that the clinic will not offer 24-hour emergency vet services and will not include boarding services, outdoor dog runs, or overnight dog stays in the memo that we provided on October 1st. The project has been determined to be exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA guideline sections 15301, which exempts minor alterations to existing structures such as ADA improvements and new HVAC units. In the section and CEQA section 15303, which exempts a conversion of existing small structures from one use to another, such as an office to a vet clinic. As proposed and as conditioned, the project is consistent with the County Comprehensive Plan, including the Eastern Glida Valley Community Plan and the LUDC. Staff recommends that you make the required findings for approval for the project, including CEQA findings. Determine the project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA guideline sections 15301 and sections 15303, and approve the project subject to the conditions of approval included as Attachment B of the staff memo provided on October 1st. This concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you very much, Ms. Volpe. I see the applicant team here. Is someone going to represent the team? Please state your name for the record.
Wolf with Pacific Architects. Thank you, Administrator Liu, and Kathleen as well for your diligent work on this. The only points I want to make is that just a description of the building, which you probably already know, it's a masonry building existing. It has very few windows. They're all inoperable windows. There is the kennels that we're going to be using inside the space are not on the north side of the building, which is adjacent to the neighborhood. They're going to be within the building and close to the south side. They're also enclosed kennels. They're not cage type kennels. So they're more sound resistant. The owner doesn't want a sound barking dogs, that kind of thing happening inside the kennel either. So we're very conscious of that. On top of which, the north side, a good portion of the north side of the building is in the hillside. It's actually retaining into the hill. Also, we're adjacent to the freeway, white noise from the freeway. I just wanted to point these things out for sound concerns. So I think that's about all we have to add unless you have anything more to say. Ready for questions?
Thank you very much, Mr. Wolf. I may have additional questions for you. Mr. Villalobos, do we have any requests to speak on this?
For those of you online, go ahead and raise your hand if you'd like to speak on this item. And once again, it's *9 on your phone to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself. No requests.
All right. Going once, going twice. Well, then I'll go ahead and close out the public comment for this period, for this item. Ms. Volpe, I do have some follow-up questions and maybe for Mr. Wolf. So Mr. Wolf, if you want to stand back up at the podium. I do understand what you just described about the essential soundproofing of this, but I also understand the public comment that Ms. Volpe has received about concerns regarding noise. I appreciate the edits to the project description indicating that this won't be a 24-hour operating service. However, is there an opportunity to kind of limit your hours of operation? I'm not suggesting that, you're only open 8 to 5, but something to ameliorate the concerns.
Yeah, we've talked about that. She essentially 8 to 6 is the hours of operation every day. Oh, sorry, not every day, Monday through Friday. Sometimes Saturdays might occur if necessary. Again, it's not emergency hospital. It's not a stay over boarding. So in that respect, I think we would like to be able to have a little bit of flexibility in terms of, sometimes the dogs end up or animals end up having to stay a little later, sometimes as late as 10. Employees obviously have to clean up and close up and that kind of thing too. So on occasion that might happen, but generally 8 to 6 is the hours of operation, Monday through Friday. Again, sometimes a little later and sometimes on Saturdays.
So is there an opportunity, and I appreciate that, and I guess for me, it's more about the last client in, so can we, yes,
Come on up, I'm gonna let
please
her.
state your name also.
Hi, I'm Laura Putnam, vet. My plan is to be open from 8 until 6. Classically, that means usually the last appointment is at 5 o'clock or 5:30, pushing it. My only concern about being very strict with hours is possibly in the future, well, there's a couple of things. Maybe I'd want to stay open until 7, or another issue is it's a veterinary clinic, and sometimes that 5 o'clock appointment ends up being a surgery. And so then that dog goes to surgery and then they're out of the door later that evening. I'm never going to have anyone overnight. I have a family. I want to be home for dinner. I don't really wish to have late hours, but unfortunately, the nature of my business is it's very impossible to predict. Okay, this patient's recovering from anesthesia. They're supposed to leave at 5, and then suddenly something happens and they leave at 8. Or a few years, I've been a vet in town for 20 years. A few years ago, we had a flu outbreak and no one was vaccinated in town. And so we temporarily opened up the hospital that I'm currently working at on a Saturday, and we had our clients come in and everyone got vaccinated. It wasn't a routine business hours, but I would like the ability to be able to do things like that without someone saying, no, you must, kick out all the patients at 6 o'clock and the staff must leave, by a certain time.
Ms. Putnam, is your operations by appointments only, or do you take walk-ins?
By appointments only, but I've been in a practice by appointment only for the last 20 years. And I'd say not everyone follows the rules and often people will walk in.
Okay,
But I intend to be working with my own clients. This is not a rushing in emergency hospital. I'm a general practice.
okay. Would it be possible if I suggest your no start earlier than 8 a.m. with the last appointment no later than 5:30? So that allows you to bring the customer in or the client in at 5:30, and then whatever you need to do can happen after that.
I don't have a problem with that. My only concern about that is the staff hours.
Yeah, it's not about the staff hours, it's about the animals coming in and what you're receiving,
Okay,
to alleviate the concerns about the noise.
sure. Are people concerned about the noise of, I wasn't quite familiar. I know understandably dogs can be loud, but are people concerned about the noise from dogs walking into the parking lot? Or,
I think that is a question for Ms. Volpe. She's the one that received the comments.
Ms. Lou and Laura, I think it was general noise complaints. It's about the idea that animals coming in and out as well as being housed at the facility. So it was all it was all aspects of it in general, I'd say.
And just for me, Ms. Putnam, as a neighbor, right? I wouldn't want, let's say you have multiple appointments coming in 6, 7 o'clock at night, and dogs don't always get along
right,
and they interact with each other, and there could be a loud noise if I'm trying to come home from work and enjoy myself. So I think that's the concern, at least for me, if I were the neighbor.
sure.
So that's why I'm trying to limit, and I appreciate the soundproofing that Mr. Wolf described, and I think that helps significantly.
Sure.
So the concern is just more limiting when your patients come in, your clients come in, so that we don't have these walk-ins.
Um, I want to be clear with the way I've laid out the hospital. I'm focusing on a fear-free hospital, which essentially means dogs bark when they're
Sure.
anxious. And so I have 8 exam rooms so that clients are not going to be sitting in the lobby. All the kennels, the dogs don't see each other and they're completely enclosed. There's less reverberation. And so any dog that barks, generally speaking, in a veterinary hospital is an anxious, stressed dog, which is not my intent. So I don't really wish to work in a building that has barking dogs. Vets don't like barking either. But my only concern about I will do whatever is needed, but my only concern about limiting the hours to appointments ending at 5 is, what if one day in the future I want to open until 7? How would that work?
So, Ms. Putnam, thank you for explaining the separation of the kennels. That's helpful. Is there an opportunity to include that in the project description to that the animals would be separated in this fashion so that they don't interact with each other?
Ms. Lou, yeah,
Mr. Wolf?
Yeah, do you stagger the intake of clients coming in with their dogs?
Yes.
So that I think one of the concerns that Kathleen pointed out was also bringing them in
Sure.
and in the parking lot, the interaction. So is there some well, of course, anybody could be walking out at the time somebody's coming in. So
Yes.
maybe
agree.
there's, okay. Well, anyway, just thought I'd add that. if there was-
So, Ms. Volpe, if I took a 5-minute recess, would you guys be able to work out additional language for that project description?
yes, I also had Ms. Lou a clarifying question. If we were to add in standard hours of operation, would it just be for the appointments? Would employee hours be required, or would that be something? that-
No, I think, so my original thought with the hours of operation was because of these concerns of the animals coming in, interacting with each other and causing a loud ruckus for the neighborhood. But based on Ms. Putnam's description about these animals being separated, I'm okay with not having these hours of operation, but that there is additional language about keeping them staggered and that they're not waiting in the lobby and that they're segregated.
Okay. Yes, that is something I think we could work out.
All right, 5 minutes? All right, Mr. Villalobos, 5 minutes recess. All right, I hereby reconvene the October 13th, 2025 hearing of the Santa Barbara County Zoning Administrator. Ms. Volpe, did we come to some arrangement on the new revised project description?
Ms. Liu, yes, we've added in some additional clarifying language for the revised project description. Should I read it into the record?
Yes,
or-
please.
Okay. So the full project description is, the project is a request for a minor conditional use permit to allow the change of use from an existing commercial real estate structure, office, business service to a veterinary pet clinic / hospital, which is medical service, animal hospital, and the associated interior remodeling and minor exterior changes. The structure will be operated as a day clinic hospital and will not offer 24-hour vet services. Appointments will be staggered to avoid overlap of patient interaction, and dogs will be separated immediately into exam rooms or divided kennels. The proposed veterinary clinic / hospital will not include boarding services, outdoor dog runs, or overnight dog stays. No change in the structural footprint is proposed. Exterior changes are limited to ADA improvements and new HVAC units.
Thank you very much, Ms. Volpe. Can I just make one small suggestion? I know you referenced dogs, and that's mostly the concern. Can we just say animals? Okay,
Yes, we can make that adjustment.
all right. That the full description? Or the full extent of the changes?
Yes. it
All
is,
right.
Ms. Liu.
Then I am fine with those changes. Thank you very much. I will go ahead and close out this item and make the required findings for approval for this project as specified in attachment A of the staff report dated 9/26/2025, including the CEQA findings. I do determine that this project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15301 and 15303, included as attachment C of the staff report. And I approve this project case number 25 CUP 0007, subject to the revised conditions of approval included as attachment B of the staff memo, as well as in today's hearing. And that will close out this item. Thank you very much. Thank you to the applicant team for your willingness to work